They said it was over. That Sopato, the tomato processing plant hailed as a national symbol of Burkina Faso's economic independence, had closed down. Whispers swirled across social media. Pundits on radio shows declared its death, and enemies of progress celebrated prematurely. But as with every revolution, truth and resilience often lie behind closed factory doors, away from the cameras and far from the headlines. Sopato is not dead. It's alive. In fact, it's thriving. And what's happening inside that factory is far more than just the processing of tomatoes. It's the beating heart of a national movement, a bold declaration that Burkina Faso will no longer be a dumping ground for foreign products, that the country will rise, can rise, and must rise by the strength of its own hands, its own vision, and its own people. At the center of this transformation stands Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the revolutionary leader who not only talks of sovereignty but invests in it. A man who places faith not in foreign capital, but in the sweat and ingenuity of Burkinabe youth. When Traoré backed the Sopato project, he didn't just sign a document, he made a promise to restore dignity through production, sovereignty through agriculture, and unity through shared purpose. For those who visited the Sopato factory recently, there's no sign of decay. Machines are running, workers are moving, and most importantly, tomatoes are being transformed at an astonishing pace. The facility now processes 100 tons of fresh tomatoes every 12 hours, meaning it can handle 200 tons per day. Every can, every sachet, every shipment tells a story of perseverance, of local labor, and of national pride. So why the lies? Why did detractors rush to declare Sopato dead? Because this factory is dangerous, not in a violent sense, but in what it represents. It threatens import dependency. It challenges the decades-long reliance on foreign tomato paste packed with preservatives and fillers. It questions the economic order where African countries are producers of raw goods but never beneficiaries of finished products. And most frightening of all, it shows that Burkina Faso can do it alone. Of course, the path has not been easy. In its first year, Sopato has faced major hurdles. The boiler, for instance, consumes an unsustainable 100 liters of diesel per hour, a costly operation. But instead of folding, the team is working to switch to biomass energy, which would allow even the tomato peels to be reused for fuel. It's about self-reliance, not just in product but in process. Electricity, too, has posed a serious challenge. On a recent evening, the factory had no power from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. And yet, the lights eventually came on, not because of a miracle, but because of relentless determination. Sopato isn't just fighting for economic success. It's fighting against structural obstacles that have kept African industries down for decades. Transport became a battlefield of its own. Some contractors agreed to fair prices to deliver tomatoes, only to hike them at the last minute. Others failed to make even 2 trips per month, leaving tomatoes to rot en route. So what did Sopato do? It purchased its own trucks. No more waiting, no more sabotage, no more excuses. But perhaps the most heartbreaking challenge came from within. In an effort to make tomatoes ripen faster, some farmers began spraying them with vinegar. It may look appealing on the surface, but once those tomatoes reach the factory, they're already spoiled. And when that happens, they can't be processed. Entire shipments are lost. This is the hidden battle of African industry. Not just foreign interference, but internal misunderstanding born from poverty and desperation. And yet even here, Sopato does not blame. It educates, it adapts, it continues to stand. To everyone supporting this effort, a deep and heartfelt thank you. Your likes, your shares, your encouragement, they are not passive gestures. They are weapons in this fight for dignity. When you support African production, you are not just consuming, you are building a future. Today, although it's not fresh tomato season, Sopato continues to operate. The factory is packaging stock from previous harvests, putting high-quality tomato paste into drums, then into sachets and cans, ready for the market. The demand is overwhelming. Supermarkets sell out the same day they receive deliveries. And why? Because what's inside is 100% tomato. No flour, no additives, no artificial flavors, just tomatoes, salt, and a natural preservative. And yet Sopato had a choice. Suppliers offered systems that could produce massive profits using only 5% real tomato and 95% filler. But Sopato refused. Because what is wealth without integrity? What good is profit if it poisons the people? As they say in Burkina Faso, the fortune is the baraka, meaning true wealth must be blessed. It's a lesson often forgotten in a world ruled by money. But at Sopato, they haven't forgotten. They don't cut corners. They don't dilute their values. That is why they don't just sell tomato paste. They sell trust. Still, rumors swirl. They say a banker owns the factory, that Moroccans are shareholders, that Sopato is a foreign trap with a local face. But here is the truth. Sopato is 100% Burkinabe. From its founding, the company relied on local investment. It received a 1 billion CFA loan from FBDS, 400 million from PEC, and a 235 million CFA contribution from a Burkinabe cooperative. Not even $500 million CFA came from outside. The rest, over 6 billion CFA, was contributed by local shareholders, founders, and ordinary citizens who believed in the dream. No foreign banker, no North African mogul, just Burkinabe courage and conviction. And yes, mistakes were made. One early packaging batch came with a misspelling of Burkina Faso, due to a miscommunication with a Chinese supplier who wanted to surprise the company. But the people noticed. They spoke, and the factory listened. A new design was launched. Instead of 6 cans per box, there are now 12. More value, more transparency, more accountability. This is what community ownership looks like. When you are not just a consumer but a stakeholder in your nation's development, your voice matters. Sopato isn't just feeding families, it's teaching a new economic model, one where Africans invest in Africans, one where youth lead, elders advise, and government support rather than sell out, one where factories are not sites of exploitation, but temples of transformation. And it's all thanks to a leader who believed, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, a man who didn't just demand sovereignty but financed it, protected it, stood by it. Without him, Sopato would still be a dream on paper. But because of his vision, it's now a reality. Foreign buyers came knocking. A North African country offered to purchase Sopato's entire tomato paste stock at a 300% profit margin. It was tempting. But the factory said no. Why? Because they knew if they sold it all abroad, local stores would go empty. Jobs would be lost. Burkinabe households would once again depend on foreign goods. Sopato chose the people over profit. That is what real independence looks like. Now, plans are underway to expand Sopato across the entire country. Machines are being added. Packaging sizes are being diversified. From small sachets costing just 50 or 100 francs to full-size cans, the goal is clear. No Burkinabe should be left out. Even competitors are taking notice. Some call to ask for Sopato paste in bulk, to repackage it under different names. Others try to mimic the branding. But imitation only proves one thing. Sopato is winning. If you walk into a market and don't see it, it's not because it failed, it's because it's sold out. If you hear critics online, remember, they fear what Sopato represents, an African people who no longer wait for permission to rise. And so we say it loudly, Sopato is alive. Sopato is working. Sopato belongs to the people. This isn't just a tomato story. It's a blueprint for how Africa can rebuild itself, one factory, one farm, one family at a time. So next time someone tells you that nothing good comes out of Burkina Faso, tell them about Sopato, and tell them the revolution is only just beginning.